You go to the Africa wilderness in the time of COVID, it's a special treat because there's nobody else there. There's no tourists. There's no buses. There's no cars. It's just you and the tent and various natives you're with and just exploring the wilderness like Africa used to be 100 years ago or even 50 years ago. That's what we experienced in the summer of 2021 in the time of intense COVID when nobody was going anywhere, and Africa was the beautiful raw wilderness that was Africa 100 years ago. The question always comes up for writers, why do we write? And the fact is, our experiences write us. And that's what I'm writing about in this notebook that I kept constantly, daily, twice a day, to record the incredible events in the Serengeti in the time of COVID. There is something extremely unique about being able to follow unfettered the elephants all day long with their tireless wandering through the wilderness. The elephants weigh anywhere from 6 to 8 tons, and to support that massive frame, you would think they have to eat a lot of nutritious food, but all they eat is brush and some grass and trees and thorns. That's it. And they manage to squeeze enough nutrition out of that to feed that huge hulk of a body and to allow it to grow to gigantic size. So it's important to understand why they walk and walk and walk 50 to 100 miles every day. And as we follow them, we realize what is happening is they are sparing the wilderness. Instead of just destroying an area and making it ecologically empty with their massive eating, they are carefully pacing that wilderness eating so that they will eat a huge amount all day long, but over a course of 50 to 100 miles, wandering huge distances so that they don't deplete the wilderness of the bush and the trees and the vegetation that actually make the wilderness alive and viable. It's their wandering all day long and eating in range of 50 to 100 or 150 miles that allows them to save the wilderness, to be ecologically responsible, and yet feed those enormous bodies. The elephant trunk is just an amazing organ. There's no organ like it anywhere in any animal on the planet. It can grab with ferocious power. It smells. It can smell in the distance, just like with distant vision. It can grab, it can squeeze, it can spiral in all kinds of shapes so it can help to eat. And it can also spray itself and shower itself and keep itself clean. The trunk is an incredibly useful, amazingly dexterous, extraordinarily athletic organ. There is nothing anywhere on the planet like the elephant trunk. During the all-day wandering every day of their life of these elephants, we realize they are extremely social animals. The elephant are not endangered by any predator. Their only job in life is to continually eat and not destroy that very ecology of wilderness they depend on. We go to a remarkable area in the southern plains that you would think is totally desolate. But if you keep watching, animals will show up, and you will see there is actually a rich wildlife that you can't imagine originally on that vast plains. In this vast wilderness of just plains, we find one tree, and in that one tree are a family of cheetahs playing games. We simply park our car in an area of the plains, and the cheetahs that are very curious come up to us and want to figure out what we are. They're very playful animals when they're not on the hunt trying to kill a tommy or gazelle. But we're not afraid because, as frightening as they seem, we are not on their menu. It was dark and it was early in dawn, and the cheetah in the open plains was noticing a group of tommy gazelles. And like lightning, out of nowhere, the cheetah chased that gazelle. And only one gazelle was really separated from the others. She chased it down, jumped in the air, caught it in the throat, took it down, and she had a huge meal all morning. And that was good for her because it was a dry summer and she hadn't had many kills and she needed the nutrition. And if she doesn't get a tommy gazelle at least once every 3 or 4 days, she will get weaker and weaker, unable to catch future tommy gazelles, and then she'll die. And her cubs that she brought the food to will die also. Testosterone is strong here in this scene as these bull elands fight to see which one is going to be able to mate with the females in the herd. And the better man won. This family of hyenas actually looks cute, and they have a very sweet-looking family life. But in truth, they will grow up to be the most vicious predators on the planet, with the strongest jaws, and they never let go, and every animal in the Indutu has got to fear the hyenas. In this vast, empty area, we actually see a huge herd of zebras migrating. It's amazing that these animals can find enough nutrition, but of course they have to migrate to richer areas to keep alive. But while we show you the struggle that all of life is going through in this Garden of Eden of the Serengeti and the Indutu woodlands of East Africa, I also want to emphasize the sweetness and the love and the beauty between these animals and their families. And when you get to know them really well, like not in a commercialized van, but really camping out and hiking among them, you get to see, as well as the struggle and the viciousness, you get to see the sweetness and the beauty and the love. Smaller animals, just like the dik-diks and the jackals, may not be as charismatic, but they're very sweet with a beautiful family life and give us an idea of what it can be like in a more serene aspect of the woodlands. It is very hard to spot a honey badger, which is like a wolverine in North America. These animals are very quick and very shy and seldom seen, but pound for pound, they're probably the most vicious animal on the planet. But here is a calm scene of the silver jackal, which mate for life, have a beautiful family life, and have gorgeous coloration, and are an example of the sweet and quiet nature of this beautiful wilderness. We have to describe what happened when a group of lions actually caught a zebra, because it was a striking, incredible thing to see. The lions were down at the water hole hiding, and a zebra was approaching, deciding whether to take the dangerous move of approaching that water hole. And he was a huge male zebra. And as he was approaching, a lioness from behind began to chase him, and she wouldn't be able to catch him really, but she chased him towards the water hole where another lioness was waiting. And I've never seen such an athletic phenomenon, where the lioness leaped up in the air as the zebra leaped up in the air to avoid her. And the lioness grabbed the throat of that zebra up in the air with amazing athleticism. And she held on to his throat with her teeth. And the zebra struggled and pushed his feet and kicked and tried to pull away from the lioness that was holding his throat and choking him to death. He couldn't get out of her grasp. But what you didn't see is the amazing athleticism as she leaped up in the air and twisted around as the zebra twisted around, and in midair was able to catch that zebra right by the trachea and hold on and never let go. After the lions have had their fill of what was once a gallant and gorgeous male zebra, the next day there will be nothing left to indicate that this zebra, this proud, beautiful zebra, ever existed. These secretary birds are picturesque enough, even without this remarkable scene where we caught them resting in their treetop nest just at the time of sunset. East Africa and the Serengeti feels like the Garden of Eden. When you arrive in the Serengeti, you always feel like you've arrived home, because it is the home of mankind and the home of all the huge diversity of creatures that evolved here and moved out of Africa to join the rest of the world. So you feel at peace, like you're in the Garden of Eden. Incredible beauty with the trees, umbrella acacias, and the huge bird life and all the animals grazing, everything seeming like the calm almost of Jurassic Park. But actually, once you get into it, if you're not just in a tour bus and not just in some kind of a tourist commercialized camp, you really get to see the real Africa, and you see that everything here is struggle, a struggle for life, whether it's the insects or the predators like the lions and the leopards and the cheetahs, or the grazers like the impala or the Tommy gazelles or the Grant gazelles, or like any of the huge diversity of animals that seem so beautiful and happy out here. It's a constant struggle, and you really have to get into it deeply, not as a tourist, and be with those animals and feel what those animals feel to understand the struggle for life here in East Africa. It's easy to think of the predators as the bad guys, as the evil ones, as they kill the zebra or the Tommy gazelle or the Grant gazelle or the impala in order to survive. But in truth, life is very, very difficult for these predators. They can't survive on anything vegetarian, and if they don't have a successful kill at least every 3 or 4 days, they will get weaker. And as they get weaker from starvation, they'll become less and less able to catch one of these animals, and they'll die of starvation. It's a vicious, difficult life out here for the predators, not only for the prey, but also for the predators. So in conclusion, with these incredible scenes that you've witnessed in the glorious East Africa of 50 or 100 years ago, we've had a rebirth of Africa because of COVID and the disappearance of human tourism and commercialism. And what you've seen is raw Africa, representing the beauty, the serenity, the sweetness and the love, the family life of these animals. And also you've been able to witness the viciousness and the struggle for life that is part of the beauty out here.